Hi, and welcome back to our channel, Attention Deficit Marriage Disorder. Thanks for coming back. This is our first part of our ADHD and marriage series. In case you missed us, go back and watch the intro video, but if you don't feel like it because you have ADHD, Hannah's going to catch you up on that.
So I'm Hannah, and this is Josh. He has ADHD, and I don't. And it affects our marriage all the time. And it's just something that is really a big part of our life. And we've learned that if you don't first accept it and then learn to work with it and figure out new strategies and how to work together, that it can really become a big stressor between the two of you. So we're just going to share a little bit about what we've been through and just tell you a little bit about the things that we've learned and good things that have come from it and things that we've learned never to try again. And so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just talk in general about marriage, and anyone who's married knows that it's really hard.
Yep. Marriage is hard. ADHD and marriage, if not properly channeled or contained, and if you don't work on it together, is a marriage killer, I think.
Yes.
If you're married or if you live with someone, a brother or a sister or a mom and dad, you know how hard it is to live with someone.
Mm-hmm.
For example,
Like when people leave hair in the sink after they've shaved their face.
when you walk into the shower and it looks like a silverback gorilla was in there.
No. When people pee on the seat, and by people I mean men, because women don't do that.
We don't pee on the seat.
Yeah, right. Or when they leave dishes on the counter next to a sink that's completely empty.
Why would you want to fill up an empty sink with dirty dishes? And on top of that, when you get yelled at for having your toothpaste out by the sink, and there are 1,700 things, curling irons, hair dryers,
No.
shampoo, conditioner, mousse all over the bathroom countertop,
No.
you're just like, okay, let me get my toothpaste.
You can't put the curling iron away when it's hot.
Anyway, one thing we do want to bring up is a book that Hannah has been reading that I have noticed a huge difference in her and the way that we act together because of. It's called The ADHD
Yes.
Effect on Marriage.
It is this book, and if you do not listen to anything else that we say, get this book. It is a life changer.
It's Book of the Year, too. It's pretty nifty.
It has Book of the Year award. But seriously, it is life changing. So we're just gonna read just short paragraphs. So bear with us.
One paragraph. You can do this.
She just perfectly explains. We feel like she perfectly explains what each of us go through. And if you have ADHD or you're married to someone with ADHD, you can probably relate really, really closely to what she's talking about. So first I'm gonna start with reading the paragraph that she describes what it's like if you're the non-ADHD spouse living in the marriage.
Non-ADHD ADHD spouse. Take a break. Go walk away.
Yeah, no. You need to hear this because you need to know what your spouse is going through. Because when I went through this, I tried to explain it to him in my own words, and he did not understand that it was hard for me at all. So, this is what the non-ADHD spouse goes through. If you are married to a person who has or might have ADHD, you might feel ignored and lonely in your relationship. Your spouse never seems to follow up on what he agrees to do, so much so that you may feel as if you really have another child in your home instead of an adult. You feel you're forced to remind him all the time to do things. You nag, and you've started to dislike the person you've become. The two of you either fight often or have virtually nothing to say to each other that either of you finds meaningful. You are frustrated that your spouse seems to be able to focus intently on things that might interest him but never on you. Perhaps, worst of all, you feel intense stress from not knowing whether or not you can rely on him and feeling saddled with almost all the responsibilities of the household while your spouse gets to have all the fun. Okay. Yes. If you are married to someone with ADHD, you are probably clapping right now because someone finally understands exactly what you are going through. We have had such a hard time because I have needed him to do things and have asked him, and he says, yes, I will do it. I understand it's important to you. I will get it done. And it does not happen. And I get so upset and so frustrated. And I feel like I have to be his mom and tell him 500 times, you need to do this, you need to do this. Like if I ask him to take the garbage out. Oh yeah, okay, I'll take it on my way to work. Okay. So later, on his way to work, oh honey, I'm running late, I'll grab it when I get home, when I take the dog out. Okay, fine, whatever. As long as it gets taken out, it's full, it has meat wrappers and it needs to go out. So, comes home from work, gets the dog, goes out. Oh, honey, I forgot the garbage. I'm really sorry. I'll take it tomorrow morning on my way to work. You get the point. Things that I need done that, yes, I could do myself, but with trying to take care of our child and trying to do the dishes or organize laundry or clean up the millions of toys that we have, it's something that when I need him to do it, I need it to be done. I don't need to worry about it.
For you that are sleeping right now or looking at your phone because you have ADHD, let's move on to the good stuff. Just kidding.
Okay.
If you have ADHD, or think you do, pretty sure I do, you may feel as if the person you married is buried deep in... I can't read. You may feel as if the person you married is buried deep within a nagging monster that lives in your home.
No.
The person you have cherished has been transformed into a control freak, trying to manage every single detail of your life together. No matter how hard you try, you can never do well enough for your spouse. Even if you are successful somewhere else, such as in your work, like holding a full-time job, working more than 40 hours a week, running a crankbait business.
Okay, is this in the book?
Running a fishing business.
We're getting off track here.
The easiest way to deal with her is simply to leave her alone. You're willing to admit that you make mistakes sometimes. I do. But so does she. Yeah, she does. And certainly no one is perfect. You wish she would just relax once in a while and live life as a happy person instead of a harpy. I'm sure you guys with ADHD are like, oh my goodness, someone gets me. Yeah, we struggled with this a lot. That was essentially our marriage and is on occasionally still our marriage. Until we remind ourselves what we need to do and what the root cause of our problems and our arguments are and how to address them. So these are just some of the things that we're going to address as we go through this series. Hannah's going to talk a little bit about our story and how this year's played out for us. So I'm going to throw it over to her.
This is tough, but we're sharing it because we want you to know that you can get through it. And it seriously seems hopeless sometimes, and you wonder if it's even worth it anymore, or you stop and think, if this is going to be the rest of my life, is this what I want to do? And first of all, don't feel ashamed if you feel that way, because both of us have felt that our marriage was something that we never wanted it to be, and it took a lot, and we had to work together, and we had to pray so hard, and we had people praying for us to get back on the same page, because we were on complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and we both felt aggravated, and we couldn't figure out how to work together in that. And it was to the point, so at the beginning of this year and the very end of last year, that I was getting so frustrated, and I felt like nothing was getting accomplished, and we weren't on the same page anymore, and it was just becoming hard to even get through the day. And it was just easier when he was gone, because we didn't have to fight. I didn't have to worry about him not getting something done, because he wasn't here to do it. He wasn't here for me to ask him to do it. And I felt a lot like I was raising our daughter by myself, and it became where I was having breakdowns at least once a week, and I was falling apart at least once a week. And so I finally made an appointment with a counselor back home that I had seen for a few years, and we did our premarital counseling with, so she knew both of us, and I had seen her a couple times since we got married, and she knows both of us and loves both of us. So I felt I could talk to her about it and tell her my side without feeling like I was bashing him, because she knew his heart and she knew that his intentions were not to hurt me or to make life harder for me, and that we were just not on the same page. And when I talked to her and told her that, I was having these breakdowns, and he didn't know what to do for me, because really he couldn't understand what was wrong, because we were just on different pages again.
Where I came from, she felt like I wasn't helping at all. I would go to work all day and come home and want to just spend a few minutes just kind of hanging out and relaxing. And she had gone through the whole day chasing a baby around and doing housework, and she needed a relief there, so she wanted me to step in immediately and try to help her. It's like, oh, you're here now. Okay, here, help. And I get home and I'm like, oh, I'm back from work. Give me a minute to relax. And it was just not fun between the both of us. So we were on polar ends of the spectrum, and it definitely showed in our marriage. Sometimes we look forward to going to work, and she looked forward to me going to work, because we wouldn't fight because we weren't together at that point. And then we'd come home and we'd fight, and it would be stressful for both of us, and we'd go to bed angry.
Yeah. So, you're starting to get a glimpse of how things could have been just escalating and escalating. And so my counselor suggested that I stay with my parents for a little bit, because, well, first, my sanity. Like, I needed to be out of this situation. Not necessarily away from him, but just out of the situation, and just to have time to reset, because it was becoming too much. The way that things was too much for me to mentally handle. And I never wanted to think that my daughter wasn't getting the best mom that she could have because of something that we needed to work on and fix. So the counselor suggested that I stay for a little bit and continue to see her. And we had to make a list. We both had our lists of things that needed to happen in order for our marriage to be successful, and in order for us to get on the same page again. And part of that was counseling, and we're actually getting ready, looking into marriage counseling to start up, here in the next couple of weeks, so that we can still learn to, work together in even better ways. After staying at my parents for a couple of months, which was seriously the hardest thing of my life, because I knew I couldn't come back to this situation the way that it was, for all of our sakes. But what I wanted more than anything was just to be with him. I wanted everything to be okay. I wanted the tension to just be gone. And it was so hard to sit and hear, it's going to take time, because I am probably one of the least patient people you could ever meet. So for someone to say, it takes time for these habits to change, it takes time for a person to show that they've changed, and that's just not what I wanted to hear. So it was so incredibly hard. It was probably the hardest decision I've had to make this far. I know something probably harder will come up later in life, and I don't even want to think about what it could be, because that was rough. He was seeing a counselor here. I was seeing her there. A lot of it was figuring out medicine and figuring out new techniques, and not trying harder, but trying differently, which is a big thing they push in the book. And I found the book one night when I was researching ADHD and just things that could help, and this book suddenly opened my eyes, and I finally felt free. And I remember when I read the first few pages, I sat on my bed in my parents' house and I just cried, because I finally had someone that understood exactly what I was going through. Because yes, marriage is hard, and people could give me all kinds of marriage advice, but when they didn't have ADHD in their marriage, they weren't quite understanding. It's not quite the same.
And for you guys that have ADHD, I would never agree with some things that certain counselors say. So we agree to disagree on that. I wouldn't say if you're feeling like you need to have a break to just leave. I would say that you need to pray about it, sit down and talk with your spouse, and really have a come together moment, and really work on it. But one thing that I did notice I would go to work for 5 days, and then I would come home, I would see my counselor, and I would drive up to Illinois and spend my days off with her, and come back home, go to work, rinse, wash, repeat. It was not easy. It was not fun, but I didn't want to not spend time with my family, and I know that time we have is invaluable. So if you are in that situation, show them that you care. Don't give up. Never give up hope. Keep praying and keep working through it. While I went and saw my counselor, he gave me some ways that I can try to work on approaching things differently and from different angles and different reminders, which we'll cover in the next video. But yeah.
But yeah, we just we want to kind of tell you what we went through, and
we're together again now.
Yes, we've been together again now for a few months, and we would do things differently, I think. Obviously, I pray I never get to that point where I break and a counselor feels that they have to tell me you need time, like your mental state is not good.
And like Hannah said, she felt like she finally had someone who understood her when she read this book.
Yes.
Inversely, when your spouse leaves you and you feel like you're all alone, when she decided to read this book, it felt like she was finally trying to understand me. So
yes.
By reading that book, she helped herself and she helped me, because I felt like she was finally trying to get me, because at one point we didn't understand each other. No. She didn't realize I had a problem or didn't want to acknowledge the fact that it was different.
I didn't want to admit that he even had ADHD.
So the book is good for you and for your spouse.
Yes.
Whichever spot you're in, if you have ADHD or you don't,
yes,
get the book.
But read it even if your spouse doesn't want to read it. He is not a reader, and I love to read. Even when he didn't want to read, I read it, and it changed both of us still. So if you're the reader, just pick it up and read it. You will fall in love with it. And she gives so many suggestions and helpful things. And one thing that we can tell you for sure is make lists. And I know that's so frustrating to someone who's already feel like they've tried everything, but seriously, make a list. If you have chores that need done on a certain day, write them all down. Write down who can do which one. And if you really obsess, not necessarily in a bad way, but obsess about things getting done, write down what time you need them done by. Like say, hey, if this could all be done, before we go to bed tonight or before lunchtime, that would be awesome. Write that down and communicate and ask for the ADHD partner's opinion. Say, hey, if I have 5 different chores and we need to split them up, which 2 or 3 do you think you can do? And it helps. It helps so much.
But yeah, ADHD buzzer.
Yes.
If you have ADHD and you're watching this video, I'm sorry. This is probably the end of your attention span, or we've already crossed that line 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, thank you for hanging in with us.
Yep. Thank you for watching. Get this book. We'll post a link in the description. Find it at your library. Find it on Amazon. Just find it.
No, not the library. You want to own this book. You will highlight. You will mark. You will circle. It will be great for you.
If you can't afford it, go to the library. And we'll take things from that book, and we'll take other things from our different counselors and things that we've learned at work, and we'll put them in the next video. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.